Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Leppy Duels presented by Jarvie Media. I'm your host, Jacob Arvidson, and I am pumped to have you back for week number 2 of our brand new disc golf debate show right here on the Leprechaun Hollows channel. Here's how the show works. In a moment, you will meet our 4 distinguished guests. Each of those guests will go 1v1 versus the other 3 contestants. Within each of those duels, each contestant will have 1 minute to deliver their points on the assigned debate topic, along with 20 seconds to respond to their opponent's comments. I, as the host, will then determine a winner of each duel, and whoever fills up their scoring bar first wins the episode. Simple enough? Let's meet this week's guests. First up, he's returning from week 1, our defending champion, DGA-sponsored Trevor Harbolt. Next up, also returning from week 1, our co-host here on the Caddy Chat podcast and co-owner at Freshwood Disc Golf, Mr. Josh Wood. Joining us for the first time, she's the owner of Mitten Bags. Give it up for Sam Janssens. And finally, joining us for the first time as well, he's the admin at Discraft All Day on Facebook with over 17,000 members and the team captain of Great Lakes Disc. Give it up for Will Goringer. Thanks for joining us, guys. Pumped to have you on the show today. Good luck to all of you. Let's kick things off. Our first debate topic of the day. The DGPT All-Star Weekend is going on right now. What do you guys think of the format? Is it good? Is it bad? Do they need to change anything? I want to know your thoughts. Josh, Trevor, you're up first.
Right. So basically, I like the format, right? I think it's cool. You get the doubles with some of the best players in the world. You might get to see some matchups where it's a little bit of rivalry, between like Paul Macbeth and Ricky. So it's kind of cool to see the one-on-one and the distance, because you always have some cool distance throwers like Gary Gerthy and all these guys. But I wish that there would be a little more fan influence in this, kind of like the NBA All-Stars or anything like that. I wish that the fans kind of got to vote for some of the players instead of them kind of getting handpicked and placed in. But overall, I think it's fun. I think it brings in viewership. Everybody's interested in the off-season of what's going on. So if you have an all-star event to kick it off, people get excited. There's a lot of viewership. So it sustains, what the DGPT is trying to do, which is bring in new viewers and fun, relatable stuff that everybody can do. So I like it. I think it's fun. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it all happen this weekend. I'm ready to watch.
Beautiful. Josh, what do you got to say?
A lot of the same stuff. I love the All-Stars format. I love the skills competitions. I love the singles. I love watching dubs. I love playing dubs. I actually like Trevor's idea of having a little more fan influence over that. And I also think it would be good if it was later in the season. And let us see who the All-Stars of 2023 are before we have an All-Stars weekend. But overall, yeah, I love it. I love watching the dubs especially. I think that's my favorite part. And, yeah, it's good stuff.
So Trevor's main point was the fans. Josh, your main point was moving it kind of to the middle of the season or a different point of the season. Double down on those for me, why your point is better in that regard. Trevor, go for it.
Well, of course, the fans are always everything, right? Like, if you don't have people watching, what are we doing, right? But I do like his idea of being in the middle of the season. You get to see who's actually doing well throughout the entire season, and it's kind of a fun thing. Like the NBA does it in the middle. You get the best players at that time. So I do like that idea, but again, the fans are everything when it comes to sports. So it's all about the fans.
Josh?
Yeah, I mean, what are the odds? The 2 guys that tied last week, and now we're tied in the first match here, because I think the fans are everything, and I think to better equip them to make good decisions for the All-Star weekend, it should be later in the year when we see who's playing hot, when people are in their rhythm, rather than, again, like the week before Las Vegas, nobody's warmed up, everybody's just coming off break. They're just getting in the rhythm. I think later in the season could make for a much more action-packed, exciting fan-influenced event.
Even yourself said that you were excited about this weekend, though.
I am. I'd be more excited if it was in August.
I can understand that.
Trevor, for that last little interjection, I think that gives you the edge. Honestly, you guys, Josh, you've got a point. You guys were deadlocked again. You're making it difficult for me, but I'm gonna give the edge to Trevor. Trevor takes it once more, which sends us into duel number 2, which is obviously going to be between Will and Sam. You guys are debating GK Pro as part of the DGPT's new media plan that they released about a week and a half ago. They had GK Pro coming off of the FPO coverage that they did last year, focusing on the GK Pro skins, and the DGPT is going to have some skin in the game, skin in the skins, so to speak, as they're going to be charging for fan involvement to go spectate. What were you guys' thoughts? Will, take it away.
Yeah, I think the move overall makes sense. The skins matches on the GK Pro YouTube channel get about 2 to 3 times the views compared to the FPO coverage that's on their channel. Moving FPO 1 to Jomez has almost 4 times the YouTube footprint that GK Pro does, so that's just naturally going to get more eyes on FPO just due to that move on its own. I don't think the monetization is a bad thing. I think it's just another opportunity for spectators to watch disc golf, and it's kind of in a less serious environment compared to a tournament round. So due to that, you could have your favorite pro being a little more colorful, having their personality come out a little bit more, coming to watch something like this compared to going to watch your favorite pro on lead card final round of a big tournament. So I don't really think there's any downsides to the move. I think it's going to be mutually beneficial for all parties involved.
Awesome. Sam?
That's pretty much my exact thought. I think it's good on all levels. GK can focus all their energy on the skins, and Jomez picked up the FPO, which I think is really awesome. I'm really excited to see what they do with it. And yeah, they can use any of that extra revenue from ticket sales towards production, towards more skins. I would love to see them do more skins for the FPO players. I think that would be really awesome. And like Will said, it's just really fun to watch. Like, who doesn't want to go watch Calvin Heimberg putt for $50,000? Like, that's just absolutely insane. And so overall, yeah, I think it's all good moves.
Will, you want to double down, differentiate yourself a little bit?
No, I agree. I think Sam and I had a lot of similar talking points. I do like her point on getting some more FPO views in there. I think moving FPO to Jomez, like I said, is going to get more eyes on it. And I think that them going out of their way to do this gives them more opportunity to get more people and more FPO players on the skins matches.
Sam?
Yeah, and I also think it'd be fun to see bigger crowds out there, put more pressure on the players that are going up for that big money, and it could just kind of change the dynamic of things and make it even more fun to watch on coverage.
Again, you guys had great points, similar arguments. Sam, I love your final point there on the pressure. They're already playing for a lot of money. Adding pressure to that is just more fun to watch, especially for the spectators that are on site. Will, you make a great point. I think a lot of the times we watch these guys and girls on coverage and we see them in focus mode. They're locked in on the task at hand, which is trying to play as well as they can in the tournament. We don't necessarily get to see them in a relaxed environment as often, and I think Skins provides that, and I think people are going to be willing and excited to pay to go watch that. So for that reason, I'm giving Will the win in this particular duel, which sends us to duel number 3 between Trevor and Sam. Sam, you get to hang out here in the duel, and you guys are going to be attacking the Rising Tournament buy-ins that are popping up all around the country. Trevor, you are up first.
Okay, so I like it, right? But I'm also a professional player, so the more fees that are in there, the more money that I can potentially put in my pocket. So for that side of it, with the pro and the open women's side and the masters, of course we want more money in our pocket, which some of it's from added cash, but a lot of it comes from the entry fees, especially like A tiers and B tiers and stuff. So for open, let's do it. Let's keep jacking them up. We got sponsors that pay for tournaments and stuff. So, we can do that. As far as the amateur stuff, I think you could probably cap it at one time, because the way that things work when you go to Ledgestone, if you have a $200 entry fee, you're getting so much back, and all of your player entry fee stuff, all your player packages, you're getting carts now, you're getting baskets now, you're getting all this great stuff. So I think if you could just cap it at a certain thing and offer these people these same awesome things that they're getting, then why not, right? Like, let's do it. But keep jacking it up for the open. We want more money.
I love it. Little selfishness in there for you. Sam, what do you got to say?
I kind of feel like it's bad for the sport overall, especially on the local AM side. It's going to discourage new players from playing tournaments, and people aren't going to play as many tournaments. I do see the side of bringing more money in, but I think you can achieve that with just bringing in bigger sponsors, more sponsors, and getting that money and charging the same price. And then you're going to get players playing these events, but still getting really awesome player packs and more money, but spending less money.
I like it. Okay, so Trevor, you had a different opinion than Sam did. Double down on yours. Why should you win this duel?
Well, it's a simple fact like this, man. I understand the M side of it. We don't want to discourage anybody from ever playing our game, especially on the competition side. But when it comes to the pro side of it, we have always asked for more money. And while we can get more sponsors and stuff, jacking up those fees, it also brings in the best of the best and the people who are sponsored who can pay for these tournaments to get in. Because sometimes when you have a 780 rated player playing in an open tournament, it just doesn't seem right.
Sam, is there anything you can say to knock down Trevor's statement?
Yeah, my argument would be that not all the players on tour have their sponsors paying for the tournaments. So those players, they're just going to have a harder time on the road financially, which a lot of them already are.
Okay. Again, good points. I love that you guys took two different sides. I think that's important, helps the show out, honestly. Trevor, good points, a little self-motivated from your perspective, but I think that's important. I think you should be taking that stance as an MPO touring pro. And Sam, on the other side, the AM perspective is important as well. And I think the key for what you said, Sam, was the sponsorship thing. If we want to keep costs from rising, how about the tournament directors and the staff involved with the tournaments work harder to bring in sponsors to keep that entry fee lower for the AMs and continue to provide the same product, which also can fluff the pro purse at those tournaments as well. So for that reason, I am going to give Sam the win on this duel. So Sam picks up her first win of the episode, brings us to duel number 4, which will be between Will and Josh. You guys are going to be debating Brody's recent Facebook post. Brody Smith talked about needing more, quote, non-vanilla personalities in the sport. Will, take it away.
I agree with Brody for the most part. I think pros in disc golf aren't too out there on social media, but I do think there is also an important distinction between pros in disc golf and pros in other sports, where the fans directly contribute to the financial success of the pros, whether that be signature discs, merch, clinics, etc. And there's no real room to be edgy because it kind of puts their paycheck at risk. Also, for most of the year, these pros are essentially living within walking distance of each other if they're all at a campground or just other living situations close to the course. There are, of course, players that still do it. Andrew Fish is one of the first that come to mind. So I do think there is more room to be colorful on social media, but I think we should also expect expect more from productions to be better with questions and content and not be as cookie cutter questions being asked over and over, which was one of the main things that Brody was complaining about in that post.
Josh?
Yes, I agree with Brody 100%, and it's actually one of the things that I've grown to appreciate about Brody is being that guy who's willing to give a non-traditional answer to a question and put himself out there with his hot takes. We do have Nico. Nico's a bit of a heel in our sport, right? He's the guy everybody loves to hate. But the problem is when he does have his moments, he it gets some attention for a couple of days and then it goes away for 6 months until something happens again. Scott Stokely tried this in the late 90s. He was comparing it to professional wrestling and decided that disc golf needed a heel. So he started calling out Climo, saying really nasty things about him in public for the publicity, and it didn't work. But part of the problem was we didn't have a social network back then. I think sponsorships play a big role in this as well. You can see the ramifications of some of Nico's incidents with his sponsorships. And so in order for that to happen well, we need outside sponsors who are going to encourage some colorful behavior.
I don't disagree with either of you. Will, you want to dive a little bit deeper into your particular point?
Yeah, I just think that until the fan contribution isn't as impactful for the overall players, just their season, and it's more like on the sponsors to provide everything that player needs, and then they can go, sound off on social media and say whatever they want, because it doesn't really matter at that point who they upset or who they piss off.
Josh?
Yeah, I agree. This is the point I was making at the end, that I think that's even going to take outside sponsorship for that to be able to happen. Because, again, Innova doesn't want one of their star players being the heel. But Budweiser might, or Pepsi or Pizza Hut, or I don't know, somebody else who doesn't have that same stake in the game when something's said that might cause a flutter.
You guys, similar points. I like both of them. Josh, I'm going to give you the point on this duel, though, because of your end statement there. And I think your historical reference to Scott Stokely was important, because if somebody were to try and do that now intentionally, they might be a little bit more of a reaction. We might actually have a villain that we're willing to call the villain versus Nico, who we call the villain and probably doesn't completely see himself as a villain, which is another issue in itself. So point to Josh on that one, which brings us to duel number 5. We're all tied up right now. So the winners of these two duels will be headed to a tiebreaker. Duel number 5, Will, you're back on the clock against Trevor. You guys are debating buy, sell, hold. If players were stocks, who are you buying, who are you selling, who are you holding? Trevor, you're up first.
All right, I'll start with holding. Of course, it's going to be Paul McBeth, 6-time world champ. Guy's always coming to play. He's always in the top 10. He's always so consistent, and he's the man. He's the GOAT. So I'm holding Paul McBeth all day long. I'm selling Simon Lizotte this year. I just don't know. And I think that's the thing, right? Is we don't know. We don't know how he's going to come out with MVP. Of course, he's a professional, and they're all round, and they all do the same thing essentially. But I'm one of those guys that switched over and thought it was going to be easy, and it wasn't. So I know firsthand how that is, and I hope he does well. But at this moment, I would sell Simon, and I'm buying Corey Ellis all day long. Dude he's an incredible golfer. His story about quitting alcoholism and stuff and getting his mind right so he could be the best of the best has worked. And he's one of my good friends, and I know how he is, and I just know his focus is there. And he was so close at every tournament last year, and I think he's going to break through and have an amazing season this year.
Well said. Will?
So for my buy, I'm going to go with Andrew Marweed. So he was first on tour in C1 putting and second in C2 for 2022. He already has a win under his belt this year at the Shelley Sharp Memorial against notable touring pros, and I think it's going to continue to be a great season for him. Selling, I'm going to say Kevin Jones. Over the last 3 years, we've seen his performances get weaker and weaker. In 2019, his best stat was second in C2 putting, and that's gone from 21st in 2021 and then 37th in 2022. And for holding, I'm going to say Kristen Tatar. Kristen dominated the field last year, and I feel that most people paying attention should already have Kristen Tatar stock to hold on to. She won over half the tournaments she played last year, and I really don't think much more needs to be said about that.
Fair enough. I think both of you, your holds are pretty self-explanatory. You've got the GOAT on one end. You've got a potential new GOAT on the other end in Tatar. Trevor, tell me why his buy and his sell are wrong.
Well, I'm not going to say they're wrong because I don't think they're wrong. I think he's right on Kevin Jones. He's had a couple of rough years, but I think he's the kind of dude. He's an athlete, and he'll bounce back pretty well. So I'm going to not sell Kevin, but and buying. Who did you say you were buying again? Marweed. I can't knock that either. The dude is an amazing putter, but I will say that Corey Ellis is the second best putter on tour, and that's another reason I'm buying him. So I don't mind your picks, Mom, and of course you can hold Kristen. You know, I didn't know we could. I was going to pick 3 women as well, and she was my hold, even on the women's side. So, but we'll let you win that one.
Will, what's the difference between the sells for you guys, Simon and Kevin Jones?
I think selling Simon is ambitious. No one is going to say that he isn't signing up for a lot this year. Obviously, he's making a huge change going to MVP, especially for such a long time. But I don't think we should write off his experience in throwing discs. He's made plenty of bounds in the last year, going from a more colorful playing style to playing a little more maturely, and it definitely paid off. So I think selling Simon is ambitious.
All right, so another difficult decision for me here. I think it really comes down to the sells. I think your holds were great choices. I think your buys were fantastic choices. It comes down to the sells for me. Trevor, you said Simon. I actually said Simon's going to struggle to crack the podium in a Caddy Chat episode a couple of weeks ago. So that makes me a little biased there. But Will, I think you swayed me with Kevin Jones and kind of saying, Simon, why are we selling him? He's still a top player. Whether he has as good of a season or not. Kevin Jones struggled toward the end of last year, even the beginning of last year. I think that's a great sell at this point. So I'm giving Will the win in this duel, which will send him to a tiebreaker with the winner of this next duel between Josh and Sam. You guys are debating which non-top 10 player is going to have the biggest impact, the best season this coming year. Josh, you're up.
All right, I liked Will's answer for buying, and I'm going with Andrew Marweed being outside the top 10 and having the best turnout of his career so far. Will already listed all his stats. We know he's a phenomenal putter. He's got an amazing forearm that is not only powerful and deep but accurate. He's a great disc golfer, and ever since we've seen him break onto the scene, it seems like every year he's just getting better and better and better. He's already shown that this year with his performances in January and February, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. The Cookie Monster is going to make a huge impact this year.
Beautiful, well said. Sam, what do you got?
Okay, so I actually picked an MPO and an FPO. MPO, I also picked Marweed. He was number 31 on the list. When I looked, and I was shocked. He's an amazing putter. He only missed 57 putts last year, which is just insane. But his backhand game has also really improved over the last couple years. And he's just been in he's getting comfortable in the high pressure situations. So I think he is a really good person for that pick. And then for FPO, I picked Hokum, who's currently sitting number 12. Obviously, she's a world champion. She has all the tools in her belt, and she's also been working very hard on her backhand. So she's just looking overall really good and well-rounded.
Josh, you want to double down on Marweed, fluff him up a little bit more, or tell us why Sarah Hokum is not going to make as big a rise as Sam is predicting?
No, I definitely don't want to say anything bad about Hokum. I think Andrew Marweed, again, like she even pointed out, even his backhand's getting better. Every year he's improved tremendously, and I think it's just a matter of time before he's in that top 10 for years and years on end.
Sam, differentiate yourself from Josh here with Hokum. Why specifically is she going to take off and rise up the leaderboards?
Well, like I said, her backhand's looking really good, and she's been also working on her putting. Her putting is looking great. They both have. She She uses a mitten bag, so excellent grip. And she's been playing on the road for a while, touring for a while, and I just think she, is definitely has all the potential to be the top.
Beautiful. I love the little mitten bags plug there, Sam. For Sarah, that's awesome stuff. Josh, I think you win this duel because Hokum has already been to the top, and she's kind of just hovering now. Marweed has flirted with the top of tournaments, but not the top of the top 10 leaderboard per se. So I think because of that, I'm giving you the win in this particular duel, which sends us to tiebreaker round. Carts versus bags. Will and Josh. Josh, you are up first. Why should you carry a cart or a bag? Which one's better?
Well, first of all, as a caveat, I think it really depends on the course. I have 2 carts and a bag, and depending on what course I'm going to, that's going to determine what I use. But in the long run, I think the cart is the better option for a few different reasons. Number one, a lot more storage, not just of discs, because, a lot of people talk about how they try to have a smaller bag. They don't want 40 discs in their bag. But all sorts of stuff, all sorts of jerky and trail mix, right? And whatever else you need to carry. But also, and more importantly, it really saves your back. It's disc golf, as much as people might not think so, is a very physical sport. We all know that. But some people outside the sport might not realize how physical it is. And after years and years of disc golf, I could tell you, after 25 years of disc golf, like carrying a bag up and down hills can be exhausting and not great for your back. So I think ergonomically a cart is the way to go for the long career of disc golf.
Will, why is he right? Why is he wrong?
So as much as I love my cart, I think for an overall recommendation, I'm going to pick a bag. There are numerous options out there under $100 for bags. There are more sling bags for casual or entry-level disc golfers, or you can go backpack style for a cheaper investment without still spending too much money. Almost every major manufacturer has a backpack style bag under $100, and if you're looking to get a cart, you're going to want to double or even triple that budget looking at stuff. Additionally, not all courses are cart friendly. You could have a more mountainous course with a lot of steep hills, which could make bringing a cart difficult. And on occasions, due to that, carts can be inconvenient or even dangerous on the course if you're trying to pull it up too big of a hill or it's muddy out or anything like that. So for an overall recommendation and from a price standpoint, I'm going to go with the bag.
All right, we've got a disagreement here, carts versus bags. Josh, why is it carts? You got 20 seconds to get the win here.
All right, just to talk about his 2 negative points against carts. One is the cost, but I got my Rovic cart for $100. So, you can always try to find something to use. They're all over Facebook, and you can find them in other places. So, price doesn't, if you don't have to buy brand new, price doesn't have to be an issue. And in regard to safety and such, I agree, but again, this is why I like the Rovic. The Zuka, I wouldn't be able to take up a really hilly course, and it takes up a lot of space and can be a pain in the butt. But the Rovic folds real easily, and even going down really steep hills, I can push that thing down the hill without hurting myself and saving my back from trying to carry that heavy backpack down that steep hill.
Fair enough. Will, bring home the win if you can. 20 seconds.
I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Rovic a cart that you put a bag on? Because my talking points were more specifically towards carts specifically used to carry discs. So that's my main argument towards that.
I love it, Will. I think you brought it home well, and I'm going to give you the win for this episode because of it. Congratulations. And you've got 1 to 2 minutes. The floor is yours. What do you got to say to the people?
Awesome. I just want to take this time to thank my sponsors for all of their support. If you guys want to support me, please consider supporting them. That would be Discraft, Mitten Bags, Great Lakes Disc, and if you are in the Metro Detroit area, look up Small City Disc Golf. We do lots of fun, unsanctioned tournaments in the area. And yeah, just thank you guys for having me.
Beautiful. Short and sweet, to the point. I love it. Congrats again, Will. Thanks to all 4 of you, Josh, Sam, Trevor, Will, for joining us today. pleasure having you on the show, and we look forward to
Josh.
We look forward to seeing all you guys in the very near future. For those of you watching at home, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Leprechaun Hollows channel. And don't forget to tune in next week for week 3 of Leppy Duels. Have a great night, everybody.